granniopteryx, she knows the truth, she's linking every link.
Hello, this is a page from the Independent. It says here, concerns raised over family voting in Gorton and Denton by-election. If you haven't been keeping up with what's been going on, there was a by-election caused by the Labour Member of Parliament acting badly and having to resign for health reasons, obviously. So after that, there was an election, and out of nowhere, the Green Party turned up. Now, the Green Party used to be very fringe, sort of happy-clappy, tree-hugging stuff. And it wasn't working because the British didn't go for that. So they decided to go for something that the British didn't go for either, but other people would. That is, the Muslim vote. And the Green Party has now changed itself from happy-clappy and tree-hugging to shouting at people because they're not Muslims, basically. So they won the election. Their candidate got in. And this is the Independent, which is a leftward-leaning paper, very closely aligned with papers like The Guardian. And they are saying that there are concerns about family voting, meaning that when people went to vote, the pater familias usually, or one of the big strapping brothers, would stand over the daughters, the mothers, the little old ladies, and tell them where to put the cross or the tick. Or, it wouldn't be the cross if they were Muslims, would it? Whatever. And that's what happened. And they saw this, some independent groups saw this happening all the time. And suddenly the Labour Party supporting media are up in arms about this. When I was living in North London, which in an area that was very heavily dominated by the Labour Party, this went on all the time in Tottenham, very heavily Labour. It was famous for this sort of voting. Or for vote harvesting. For instance, using postal votes. What would happen is the family would get postal votes in envelopes, and all of these envelopes would be taken to the local mosque where the local imam and his volunteers would fill them out. The people who lived in the house, maybe the father, but certainly none of the wives and daughters would ever even see their voting. And I know of very honest people who've told me of Labour councillors going to the polling booths and telling people who they should vote for, which is strictly illegal. But nobody took any notice of it, and certainly not the Independent, because, of course, it was going their way. Now it's not going their way, and they are up in arms. Oh, this is shocking. We can't have this happening. Well, it is happening, and it's happening because the people on the left, I've said this before, and so my long-term viewers, I'm sorry about this, but I do have quite a few new ones, and I have to repeat myself here. I don't know what it is. Whether it's socialism doing this to your brain, or just you have that sort of a brain and therefore you are socialist. You can't see very far into the future. You don't project into the future. So whatever you're feeling right now, yes, I think I have the answer. It's emotional, isn't it? People who go for the left are emotional. They let their emotions, rather than their logical faculties, rule them. So when they see a bad situation, they want to do something about it. And, there's nothing wrong with that. Or when they see a good situation as they see it, like getting people to vote for them because they're the good guys, then they'll go for that. But they don't project into where this might end up. And we can see where it's ending up now. So the Independent, the leftward paper, they are now talking about concerns about people forcing family members to vote in a certain way. As I said, in the Tottenham area, they weren't being forced, they just weren't getting to vote at all. The Guardian, they've put it this way: the Green win shows progressive voters are now voting against Labour as well as Reform. I wouldn't call a bunch of Muslim fanatics progressive voters personally, but then, as I keep saying, what do I know? I'm only a housewife. Right, let's see what's next. So I have a few notes here. Years ago, with Tony Blair, the Labour Party threw their white working class voters under the bus. It wasn't obvious at the time, but it became more and more obvious with the generations. They were pursuing the Muslim vote, and that has persisted even here. Oh, look, a very depressed Keir Starmer. Ah, bless. There was a terrible attack on Jews in Manchester, and 2 were killed. 1 by the police, by the way, but we'll leave that on one side for the moment. 2 members of a synagogue congregation were killed in this awful attack, and several people were very badly injured. And almost the first thing Keir Starmer came out and said was, "Oh, this is awful. And I pledge to put more money into looking after mosques because Islamophobia." That was what there was a Muslim jihad against Jews at prayer on, it was Yom Kippur, wasn't it? The holiest day in the Jewish calendar. And he's standing there saying, well, we've got to combat Islamophobia. That's the Labour Party's pursuit of the Muslim vote. And that started with Tony Blair. And suddenly the Muslims have grown up. They don't need the paternalism of the Labour Party anymore. They don't need to be cradled by the compassionate party, by the good guys. They've got their own agenda. They're starting their own parties now. The fact is they've taken over the Green Party, but they've taken it over. They've taken it over like the Muslims colonised the entire Middle East and Levantine area. However, leave that on one side. They have their own party now. They don't need the Labour Party. So what's the Labour Party going to do? You've lost the Muslim vote now, mate. Sorry, you have. And now I can see it happening. The Labour Party crawling back to the white working class vote. Oh, suddenly it'll all be white working class vote. They'll try and do that. It won't be immediately obvious, but you'll see them trying to creep back. Good luck with that. Okay, that's it. It's bad news in many ways. It's bad news for us because this is sectarian voting and widespread cheating. But we knew about that in Peterborough. It was absolutely rife. You look it up on Google. But of course it was for the Labour Party, so nobody said anything in the press, except maybe a few articles in the Telegraph, but not the Guardian, not the Independent, not the Mirror, and certainly not the Labour Party, who have been pandering to the Muslims to the extent that they will not investigate a major crime of the violation of English working class girls. They've betrayed the white working class, and the Muslim vote don't need them anymore. What are they going to do? They're going to disappear. This is the last Labour Prime Minister ever, unless, of course, he decides to declare himself a dictator for life. Rayner intervenes, it says here, it's time to really listen. The bad news is that we're into sectarian voting. Now, the British way of doing things is It's not beyond rescue, but it's certainly in serious trouble now. J.B. Priestley called it a dangerous corner. He wrote a play called Dangerous Corner, very, very 1930s really in style. Anyway, so we are at a dangerous corner. So the bad news is that we're into sectarian voting now, very obviously. It was a bit obvious before with the so-called Gaza independents, but now they have their actual party. And the widespread cheating, which I doubt this guy's going to do anything about either. It's not good for the Muslims as well, because when there are plenty of Muslims living in this country who just want to be left alone, get on with their life. They go to the mosque every so often and they don't take it all that seriously. But once it's got a structure in this way, they will find themselves under a sort of dictatorship, a sort of authoritarian system, which is what Islam is. And they won't be able to escape it. And they, why aren't you sending your children to Muslim school? That sort of thing. If you're not sending them, then we're not going to do business with you, or we're going to mess you about this, or we're going to ostracize you, and all that type of behaviour. So it's not good news for Muslims either, this. I mean, we're all talking about the problems with democracy in this country because of this, but Muslims themselves are going to suffer because of it. So it's a lose all round. And the Green Party, they're dancing in the streets. They think they did wonderfully. They have wrecked any chance of decent Muslim integration into this country. And what's he going to do? Say, I'll send more money to the mosques? Till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.